Obviously, a short week. A lot more walkthrough. It's a mental week. It's a recovery week. All the things to to get the energy and focus ready on a good game plan for Thursday. Any questions?
Sean, turned into a quiet trade deadline for you guys specifically.
Yeah, I mean, George and I each day talked about different things, and that's just how it turned out.
Was anything close at all today?
No, I think we discussed a few things, but all good.
How did you guys take stock of the receiver and going into this? A lot of buzz just around.
Yeah, I saw a lot of that. We've invested in we like this group and where we're going.
So how do you like the way Crawshaw sort of ironed out the kinks?
Yeah, listen, there's still, and it's interesting when you really look at that movement. It's like it's mastering the drop. You follow me? When it leaves your hands, so you don't want like a sticky left finger with Kool-Aid on it or something. You want a consistent, but I think he's really improved. He's getting better, and he'll only continue to improve.
The battles over the years you've had with Pete Carroll, just what do you come to expect from him?
Man, been so many. There's just sometimes you end up playing teams more. Maybe it's just we were in the NFC and we had regular season games, we had postseason games. There've been quite a few. I mean, and they start running together. Pete does a great job. He's always been, I consider, a good friend in the industry. Someone who's you're going to get a real well-coached team. And again, I told you this earlier. I thanked him when he took the job, and it made me the youngest coach in the division. So, but no, he's something.
What are your general thoughts on Thursday games, and then how much have you learned, over the years?
Well, my thoughts don't matter, but we've learned a lot. I think we've learned a lot relative to the recovery and our league in general. And I say this about teaching, but it's no different than any other. There's constant advancement. How important the sleep is. How important some of these units that we've invested, in our, the walkthrough. All of those things are things maybe years ago that we weren't as knowledgeable with.
No coach I've covered here understands the hidden yardage better than you do. So do you step in regarding the special teams to emphasize to them on why it's such a big...
Yeah, listen, we spent some time on it. We had a video of, the guys running on late, so we showed that video in front of the team, and I said, this can't happen. It can't happen in nickel. It can't happen in base. It can't happen, so we really got to be on point. And sometimes the challenge, and this has never changed, when there's an injury or two and a core teamer is playing more on one side of the ball or other, are we getting the same focus still in the kicking game? And so we met with a few guys. Those guys are working, and we'll get that ironed out.
So what's the challenge of projecting RJ's receiving ability, given that wasn't how he was necessarily?
Yeah, so what we saw, it was kind of the opposite of Kamara. What we saw with Kamara was the receiving, we saw the rushing, but with RJ, we saw this dynamic rusher. But we also knew his senior year, we got to see rails, and you saw soft hands. You knew he played quarterback. And so it's hard to predict sometimes a certain play is going to develop. And so, but his body stature and his agility, before contact, all of those things we really liked.
Sean, on a short week like this,
How much has Vance contributed to the culture you've already built here?
Oh, tremendous. And probably, each hire, it's harder when you get older because, when you're young in this league, you have so many peers that you have access to, and as you get older, I've always respected Vance. We played Arizona a bunch in the NFC, And then, ironically, the year I was out, we covered that Super Bowl, but they had us in Phoenix for the preseason game. The idea was the season starts here and ends here. And so Arizona was playing Baltimore, and I had a chance to visit with them, and then, it was not even knowing. But his experience, all of those attributes, and I lean on those, and we as a team benefit greatly from that experience. And so, the hiring of your staff, is tedious, and sometimes you don't want to hurry up and get it done, but making sure you get the right guys is critical, and certainly with him, I got the right guy.
Sean, with Ufanga, just how much has he brought? Not only
Well, there's a physicality to him, and then there's a leadership skill set to him, and an anticipation. You guys have met him now and visited with him. He's unique. He brings so much, to the team, aside from his skill set, and so those are the players we're looking for, and we got a good one there.
This may be recency bias, but it seems like there's as little consistency across the league this year, even for the teams that are winning regularly,
With-
we've ever seen. Just knowing what you're going to get out of a team. This team's offense is.
I think if you went back, you'd surprise yourself, and I think it's certainly in a positive way. Our game's covered more and more than ever before, and that's great for the league. But I think I don't know that I would agree with that. Like, I can go back to that 09 team where we won 13 in a row, and I can recall being down overtime, Washington, Miami at halftime, 20. I mean, there's a journey to it, and then you begin, to put wins together. But I think it now periodically you'll get some, but I think that there's a fine line between a groove and a rut, and we see it each weekend. There's a game, that unfolds, and you thought, how'd that happen? Carolina went into Green Bay last week, and Green Bay's a good football team. Carolina's certainly a good team, but this is different than college.
Is there something that you put your finger on to try to keep your team playing consistently?
I think we focus on the next week. I think we spend a lot of time on that Monday, with a debrief and going through the game, and then compartmentalizing and understanding each game takes on they're not all played the same way. You don't just go into the offense and defense and special team rooms and start. You discuss how you see a game unfolding. What are the keys to winning specifically that game?
Coach, without Riley Moss or without Patrick Tan over the past 6 quarters, how have you seen Riley Moss step up?
Good. That whole group, did a good job, and fortunately, and I say this, we've drafted to a position that's always hard to find. And so those have been good decisions, and you never know when something like that might happen, but you're able to plug in players that are ready.
You've done this job well for a long time. At this point in your career / life, do you sleep easy because you're plus 60 in the fourth, or lose sleep because you're basically -1 or even the first 3 quarters in point differential?
I think I don't think the focus. I mean, the focus obviously in starting fast. Dallas, for instance, but I think the key is just understanding how we win this game. What keeps you up is what's ahead. What keeps you up is, here's a short week. Am I going to get enough look at the red zone? Before practice, short yardage. Last night, normally we would start on, our base and then work all day the next day on it. Last night, this is Monday, we did base and then moved on to 3rd down and 2 a.m. And so when I get home to sleep, I sleep good because it's late. And then today, goal line, short yardage, red zone, that's tonight. And then now this year we don't travel. And so, and then we got to be smart about the install, on a short week.
Yeah, Sean, how does that balance work? I mean, you've talked about hay never being in the barn, but on a week like this, do you
I think let's not lose track of a real good idea, but let's keep track of how many of those. And then let's make sure the stuff that we're doing, we've had plenty of work at.
Sean, you guys have, I think, 8 games, production from Evan Ingram now. Obviously, a couple routes that didn't hit last game. Is there confidence that there's more that you can keep unlocking?
Yeah, I think it happens sometimes. There'll be a game where it's hard to predict where the ball goes sometimes. In sometimes the coverage dictates it. So, we'll keep looking for those touches and last week was a big quarters team, but we didn't get much quarters. And so what went from a big interior game became a more exterior game with as much single safety as they played. So he's doing good. He's doing really good.
Have you learned over the years how much to give your quarterback on a short week in your instinct?
I think what I've learned over the years is I'm going to go back to the very first time I was ever part of a Thursday game. It used to be just Dallas and Detroit, right? And I was just hired with Bill in Dallas. And so, of course, we have a Thursday game. And we had just upset a real good Carolina team. In fact, Carolina is going to lose to the Super Bowl in Houston to New England. We had beaten that team. And so we had a Thursday game. We went back into the office after the game and got on the game plan. And then I can't recall the Monday practice or Tuesday, but it wasn't the same as what we're trying to do now. And we got beat like 49 by Miami. And so over the years, when it became a regular part of the schedule for teams, I think all of us, all 32 teams, have begun to really refocus as to what are the key things. Playing well early is important. Halftime lead is important. Halftime lead is much different compared to halftime lead in regular season. I think we've begun, like anything else, you begin to adapt to it, and it is what it is.